Hello everybody. So today we are going to discuss the new chapter of module 4, that is file systems. So here in this chapter we are going to cover what are the different file interfaces used, how the files are going to be accessed, and how the files are going to be organized. So these are the topics here we are going to cover. So we'll discuss one by one. These are the topics: file concept, access methods, directory structure, file system mounting, sharing, and how you are going to provide the protection. In with a module file system, in that we are going to start discussion with the file system concepts. In this lecture, we are going to cover file system concepts. So first of all, we will see objectives of this chapter of module 4. So here we are going to cover the objectives, explain the function of the file system. We are describing the interfaces to be used for the file systems, and we are discussing file system design trade-offs, including access methods, file sharing techniques, file locking, and directory structures. Along with this, we are also going to demonstrate one more objective of the file system, that is explore the file system protection. So these are the objectives we are going to cover in this chapter, that is file system. So we'll start discussion from the file concepts here. So as you know, the definition of the file, what is a file here? So file is a collection of characters or sequence of characters or a collection of information. So another way we can define file is a continuous logical address space. This is the definition of the file here. So after knowing the definition of the file, these all files are stored in the permanently in a storage device called as secondary storage device. And there are different types of the files are there that we are going to cover. Actually there are two types of files: major text file and the binary files here. The text file contains data and the programs. The file that contains data and program are called as text files, and the file that is going to contain the executable code or the object code or the binary information are called as what? Binary files. So some of the examples of data files are here: numeric, character, binary, and the program is also. These are all belongs to a text type files here. So next we'll go to the next concept here, the structure of the file. So how actually files are organized in the system or in the storage device? The file is a empty, or it is a sequence of words or characters or bytes. So here there are some simple records of the file. Record structures are how the files are going to be organized here. So as per the definition, it is a sequence of words, bytes, or characters here. So these all information, sequence of words and bytes or characters are going to be organized in the form of lines here. And the files are of structure of the file may be fixed length or the variable length here. It is depending upon the user how he or she want to create the file. So there are a file structure is either it is a collection of lines, or it is a fixed length, or it may be a variable length here. Some of the complex structures also we are going to use to represent the files here, that is called as a formatted document and relocatable load files. So these are the different two more structures of the files that are going to be maintained in the computer system for maintaining the file systems here. So after knowing the structure of the file, so we'll go to the can simulate last two with the first method by inserting appropriate control characters here. Means we are inserting the information in the file, that is a complex structure called as what? Who decides the structure of the files here? The structure of the files is going to be decided by the operating system or the program that is going to be used in the computer system. So after knowing the structure of the file and definition and type of the file, we'll go to the next topic of the files here. What are the different types of file attributes? Once you create a file or you maintained or saved in the file, it is going to contain the different attributes. So which are those attributes? The first one is name, identifier, the type of the file, location where it is stored, size of the file, protection, and these are some more attributes we are adding with the file, that is time, date, and user identification. And these all, what is name? You know, it is name of the file. It is a sequence of characters consisting, means how the variable names, identifier names are going to be named. Same way we are going to use the naming here. The length of the name of the file is depending upon the system, operating system structures. Usually a minimum 256 characters are going to be used to name the files. And next one is the identifier that is assigned to the file. Once the file is created, names are going to be referred by the users and system cannot identify the names. So for that, each file we are going to assign a one identifier that we are going to call it as identifier. It is a unique tag identifier file within a file system we are going to maintain. And the next, once you define name and identifier, there is a type of the file need for the system that support the different file systems. As we covered here, there are different types of the files: binary file, text file, or some other types of the files that is going to be supported by the computer system. For that purpose, we are going to use the type here. The type of the file is going to be identified based on the usually extension that is used for the file. Once you know about three, the next one is location. So location is a pointer to the file location on the device, in which drive or on which block that file is stored. That starting address is going to be maintained in this attribute. And size, current file size here. Size means actually how many number of or what information that is present in the file. Actually the file is going to be stored in the disk using a blocks. The block, if for example file size is 512 bytes and the block size is 1024, the file is going to occupy all the 1024 bytes, but the actual size of the file is here 512 bytes that is going to be maintained here. So after knowing the size, we are going to provide some protection to the file so that others cannot be access the files, others cannot be access the file. There are different types of access controls we are assigning, that is read, write, execute, for the different types of the user. There are three different types of the users: owner of the file, group owners or group users, or you can call it as other users, outside users. Along with this all, we are going to also maintain the time, date and user identification. So who created the file, which is belongs to which group, to who other users can access the files here, and when the file is created, the time and date, when the file is modified, when it is accessed. This all information is going to be maintained in the file attributes or in the file table. Information about the files are kept in the directory structure, which is maintained on the disk here. These are the information we are going to maintain in the disk about the file. So after knowing the file attributes and where they are kept and where they are maintained, we'll go to the next content, that is operations on the file. So what are the different operations we are going to apply on the file? So as you know, what is a file we have defined. Again, the file is also defined, it is an abstract data type. So these are the different operations we can apply on the file, that is create, write, read, reposition within a file. We can delete the file, we can truncate here. Along with these all operation, two more operations we are going to carry out, that is open and close. So before performing the read write operations or reposition, we have to open the file. After doing all these operations, we need to close the file here. So open function, it will search the directory structure on the disk for entry fi and move the content of entry to the memory. So open will locate the file that is present in the secondary storage device and will be loaded into the memory. Once that is loaded into the memory, we can carry out the different operations on the file. That is write, we can write means updating the contents of the file. Read means we can going to read the content of the files. Reposition means moving the pointer from one location to another location, that is a random access. So once the file is opened, initially the pointer is pointing to a beginning when you are going to open the file for reading, and when you open the file for writing, it will be pointing to the end of the file here. So that if you want to change the position of the file, we are using the another operation called as a reposition. Reposition means moving the pointer at a specified locations. So once these all operations are over, we can close the file by using the close. So it will move the content of the file of entry fi in the memory to a directory structure on the disk here. Once you carry out these all operations, even you can create the new file by using the create API, and even you can, if that file is no more required, you can delete here. So another operation we are using called as a truncate. So this function, when you are trying to create a new file, and that file is already exist in the system, that is going to be truncated. These are the different means that content of the file is erased and the new file is created and opened. So these are the different operations that are going to be carried out on the file. So once you discuss these all operations, we'll go to the next topic called as open files. Operation that we are going to carry out with a file, that is open files. Several pieces of data are needed to manage the open files here. What are the information that we are going to pass with the open file API? So there is a need of file pointer to the last read write location per process that has the file opens, and file open counter of the number of times a file is open to allow the removal of data from open file table when last process closed it, and some other information like disk location of the file, cache of a data access information, and access rights per process access mode information. So when you open the file, some piece of information we are going to maintain. These all informations are going to be maintained in the files. So that is the open files. We are going to use open file table, that is file pointer, file open count, disk location of the file, and access rights. So what all are information we are going to maintain to open the file, and these all information how we are going to use in the different file tables that we are going to cover in the file implementation in detail once again. So after knowing these what all information we are going to maintain, so we'll go to the next topic of the file concept, that is got as locking. So when you are going to open the file, that time we are going to apply some locks. For example, if the file is shared, for example one file is shared and that file is going to be used by some different persons or different or in a group are going to be accessed at the same time. So one of the user is updating that information, that time the other users cannot access that file. If there is a reading, all members are going to be access the file at a time, but when you are writing, one user writing that file or updating anyone, so that that file cannot be accessed other users. So for that we have to use some locking technologies to apply the lock on a file, so provided by some operating system and the file systems. So meditates access to a file access to the files. So there are two locks we are going to apply, that is a mandatory or advisory locks. Mandatory lock means access is denied depending upon locks held and request here. Advisory lock means processes can find the status of a locks and decide what to do here. These are the two different types of locks we are going to apply on the file. Once you got it, locking, we'll go to the next topic, how that locking is going to be implemented. Here we are going to see the simple program that is written in the Java programming language. Here we will discuss the example of Java API. So as you are studying what is Java programming, how to write a Java program. So first of all, we are adding the some header files, Java import java.io. All input output IO operations are going to be included in this, and NIO channels. These are the some channels we are using to share the information. And we are going to start writing the program public class locking example. And here we are defining two variables, exclusive and shared, of type boolean, and they are initialized. Exclusive is defined with false and it is defined as a true, or initialized with a false and true. Public static void main string args throws IO exception. So here we are going to write now the IO exception block is written here. You know, it is try and catch used for handling the errors. So file lock shared lock is equal to null, and file lock exclusive lock is equal to null. We are initializing the values with a null. Now we are going to write the try block. So random access file RAF is equal to new random access file dot text opened for read and write operation. So once you open the file, get the channel for the file channel ch is equal to RAF dot get channel. So we are using the file descriptor that is assigned by the random access file operation or the API, and now that object we are using to perform the remaining operation. This logs the first half of the file exclusive. Here we are applying the lock on half part of the file that is exclusive, and half of the file is applied as a shared lock. Exclusive means it is used when you are going to perform the write operation. Said lock we are applying only for when you are performing the read operation. So now we are applying exclusive lock is equal to ch lock 0 array of dot length divided by 2 exclusive. So now once you apply this lock, you can modify the data, start updating the information. Once the updating of the information is over, you release the lock by using exclusive lock dot release. Once you know this, how to apply the exclusive while you are kind of updating the contents, because when you are updating the contents, we cannot allow the other users to access the file. And another type of lock we are applying on the file, that is called as the shared lock. So when the multiple users want to access the same file for the read operation, that time we are using the shared lock operation. So that is applied remaining half part of the file, that is shared lock is equal to ch dot lock array dot length divided by 2 plus 1 array dot length comma shared. The lock is we are applying here shared. Now you start the reading of the data. So first half part we are applied exclusive, there the user is updating, that part of the file cannot be accessed by any other users when they are updating. And remaining part we are applied a shared lock, means all users can access the files for read only. At a time all the users can read. So now once the reading is over, you release the lock, exclusive lock dot release. And this is the part we are using for catch when you are doing the IO operations. If any error raised by the system, will be handled and displayed the error. And finally, we are using if exclusive lock is not equal to null, you release the lock. And if it is head lock is also not equal to null, then you release the locks, because some other users are accessing those files or shared by some other groups. That time they should be released here. So once you got to know the how the locks are applied on the files, we'll go to the next part of the file concept, that is the types of the file. As already in the previous section we have seen, there are different types of the files. There are two major types of the files. One is a text file, another one is a binary file. Text file means it is a collection of characters or bytes or words, but the binary file contains only zeros and ones. So just we'll go on discussing the different type of the files and those belongs to which type of the file. So for example, consider here first type of the file is executable. So that is extension of the file is .exec, .com, .bin or .none here or none. So this file is used for ready to run machine language programs. These are belongs to a binary type files. Next one is the object file. This is also a binary type file. The extension of this is obj.o operation, compiled machine language not linked file here. Some other examples of the files called as a source code cc, java, ps, asm, a. These are the files of type text files. These are going to contain the source code in various different languages. So next one is a batch file bat sh. These are the commands to be to the command interpreter. For example, if you want to open the file, you are using what? You are using the read or write or open operations you are using. Like that, if you want to create a file, we are using cat. Means when you want to access any operations or perform the operation using commands, those are created as a batch files. Next, another, this is also belongs to a executable file, that is a binary file. Next, another type of some other types of the files called as text, word processor, library, print or view, archive, multimedia, archive, or sorry, print or view. So these are of again text type of the files. Text types, you know, it is txt and doc are the examples of text files, contains the textual data documents. Word processors, wp, tx, text, rtf and doc, various word processor formats. Library files, lib, aso, dll, libraries of routines for the programs. And another type of the file that is called as a print or view, that is ps.pdf, .jpg files, ASCII or binary file in a format for printing or viewing the contents. Another type of the files are called as archive files. Those are stored at the extension .arc, .zip, .tar. Related file grouped into a one file, sometimes compressed for archiving or storage. These are used for reducing the. Another type of the file called as a multimedia files. These are mpeg, mov, rm, mp3, aui and jpg image type files are belongs to a multimedia files. They are containing the binary file containing the audio or video information. So these are the different types of the files. Those are going to be maintained in the system. and they are going to have a name followed by extension. So now how the question is how to identify the file types. They are going to be identified by using their extensions. In the middle column they should given the different extensions that are used to store the different types of the files here. After knowing the types of the files, here we are going to complete the first concept of the file system of module 4, that is file concept, and the remaining topics we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Thank you.